So if you're not aware, the label currently is in court, and this means that all of the internal documents and practices and just all of the things that they do has to come to light if mentioned in court. If you're not aware of how the court process works, basically a witness will go up to the stand, they'll talk, and if they mention anything surrounding any specific part of an internal document in the label, the judge can then subpoena the label or any company to release that information to present it to the court because it was brought up by the witness. That's what I believe happened. There could be other weird things going on that I don't know about, but this is like the most normal thing that could happen. Now, someone revealed a document that allegedly talked about the label's relationship with the YouTuber. This, of course, becomes very controversial because the YouTuber was allegedly believed to be responsible for a lot of the backlash that the boys got, or a lot of the backlash specifically that V or JK got. So people were definitely wondering why the company had a relationship with the YouTuber, with the specific language in the alleged document saying that the company had subscribed to the YouTube channel. And I think that this language is very important to look into. I did a little bit of research and I couldn't find any specific evidence to support that the label had a membership to this YouTube channel or was financially supporting this YouTube channel in any way. This specific language implies the label was just subscribed or just followed the channel. So similar to how you can just subscribe to this channel and just see every video that I post, but not actually want to support, it's like the same thing. Because it makes sense for a label or a social media team or a PR team to subscribe to these various gossip channels or tabloid channels just to keep a pulse on whatever one is saying about their client. Because once the PR team knows that there's a specific rumor going around or that there could be potentially a crisis going on, they can go ahead and figure out what to do. They can also tell the artist what to do going forward. You also have to keep in mind that different departments don't always talk to each other. So a PR team might not always converse with the legal team. So a PR section of the label could decide to subscribe to a bunch of these gossip channels, not out of love or support, but again, just to keep a pulse on these things without being aware if the legal team is taking legal action on the YouTube channel they just subscribed to. This is a very important thing to note because it's very important for a company to do this and to keep their hand on what is actually being said about their artists. People took it as an uproar. They took it as the label wanting to support this YouTube channel, even though this YouTube channel had allegedly been believed to have caused a lot of death threats. It was also believed at one point, since they were being sued for this large amount of money, that they go after the boys and they try to kill them because of the amount of money that they owed. And it's easier to think of it this way. It's the most obvious way to think of something, right? We equate a follow or a subscribe to support, but I can tell you firsthand that hitting a subscribe or a follow does not mean you always support that person, because I get a lot of people who hate me and subscribe. Pretty sure those people just wait for my videos to drop, hit dislike, and then just wait for my next one. But that's fine. A dislike is still engagement and actually still helps too. So we actually have an update on the legal action situation. So if you're not aware, not too long ago, there was a YouTuber who allegedly decided to spread a lot of misinformation. And not even just misinformation, because that's one thing, but was spreading a lot of hate towards the BTS members, as well as towards other artists from other groups. When V found out about this, he told everyone publicly that he was going to start taking legal action on this person. It was believed that he did, and then ultimately halted legal action just due to lack of evidence. And then it was believed that they resumed legal action and then won. But this goes a little bit deeper now, because some people have found that there are some alleged leaked documents that have made people really upset. The documents allegedly talk about how the label had been subscribed to this YouTube channel. This is alleged because I don't even think it's possible to prove this. It's quite easy for anyone to sit there and fabricate a document and say that this came from the label. And we're already quite aware that sometimes K-media sites can fabricate or grab information from different places and make a story. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Some people were alleging that the label used the information from this YouTube channel to somehow create a false narrative about the other artists that they were talking about, like aside from BTS, and trying to get people to attack the other artists from other labels. This tactic is called offensive marketing, and it's where people don't focus on their own products, they just focus on insulting their competition as a form of marketing. So some companies will literally go as far as paying influencers tens of thousands of dollars to insult their competition, which is a pretty risky form of marketing, I think, because oftentimes they won't tell the influencer to talk about their own product at all. So it's a pretty big gamble if the customers or audience will even think about their own brand after the competition is insulted. But a lot of people were saying that this is what the label was doing, and they were using this YouTuber as a way to get information to do that. All of the allegations came out, and people were really upset over the internal documents coming out. The CEO actually came out and pretty much denied a lot of it. There are some things in which we'll talk about in a little bit that they did not fully deny, but then other things like this offensive marketing tactic they completely denied. And I 100% agree with them, or believe them when they say that they did not do that. Then the reason why, because it just simply doesn't make any sense. Why would a label focus their resources on insulting another artist? It wouldn't help their artist at all. Artists and celebrities are different from products, obviously. So while you might hear a bad review about a product and then avoid that product like the plague, the same cannot be said about a celebrity. People love to watch a celebrity fail, so even if it's bad press, it still helps the celebrity. So it makes no sense for a label to attempt to harm their competition in this way, because it would only get their competition more press. This is where some of these rumors just require a little bit of thinking, and then you can kind of realize how silly they are. Now, the CEO did bow his head in an apology when he talked about the internal documents being reviewed. And then there were some insults on there. Keep in mind, these things, again, are translated from one language to another, so a lot of this stuff we actually don't know 100%, but the CEO did say that the contents of the document was highly inappropriate. They were initially using the document as a way to gather information and opinions. But then when it came out, people were able to see how rude and disgusting some of the things in the document were. Some of it being things like insults to other artists, allegedly, and things like that. There were rumors and conversations about the document talking about things like plastic surgery, allegedly, and insulting people's looks and all that stuff. Don't quote me on that 100%. I can't actually read the article myself, and even if I can't understand it by translating it, because there is that language barrier that's still there, and I'm not entirely sure if words like plastic surgery or looks could mean something else in Korean, but then were translated wrong. Like, I have no idea. A lot of people were specifically worried about JK, and they were saying that JK should definitely leave the label now because the label has then insulted him and said awful things about him, specifically saying that all these comments that were made were directed to him. Now, as far as I'm aware, and as I was looking, I could not find any specific artists that the document was referencing. They were not specifically mentioning any groups, not that I know of. They weren't specifically mentioning one particular member of said group, and so people actually have no idea who anyone was being mentioned in the document, who were they referring to. But of course, people can have their assumptions that the comments could be directed towards BTS, and then maybe even a specific member of BTS, just due to the fact that people believe that the label was created by BTS. Now, while this may be true, what isn't true is that everyone on the label is constantly thinking of BTS, because every department has different artists that they work on. And if you're in a department that's working on a different artist, you might never really think about BTS at all. You have to also keep in mind that most people working in the industry, and especially people who I would see that a label would hire, probably aren't people that are just starstruck to be in a building with BTS. They can keep themselves pretty professional, and then on top of that, they probably just work and then go home back to their family or whatever they want to do. So what I'm trying to say here is, even in a company where BTS created this company, people in there probably aren't talking or thinking about BTS all the time, that every little thing would be referencing them. This was a strange situation that I just saw, and I'm not entirely sure how it started, but from what I've seen, it gets crazier and crazier. If you're not aware, the BTS official Twitter account is still active, and they tweet things like birthdays or specific articles, the JK documentary that came out, or other things referencing the boys, just things like that. Now, there were some people who were bringing up the fact that the label tweeted out about Jimin's birthday, but still hadn't tweeted out anything involving JK's vinyl pre-orders for his album. So if you're not completely aware, JK has an album, and they will usually do a rendition where it's just vinyl, so you can buy it, you can put it on a turntable and then just listen to it. I don't know exactly when the vinyl came out, but people were upset that there still hasn't been a message from the label asking people to pre-order the vinyl or really promote the vinyl at all. This is a moment where I feel like the community tends to try to look for something to get upset about, because I was seeing some of these tweets of people getting angry under the tweets about Jimin's birthday, even though Jimin's birthday was like 2 weeks ago. So it was clear that these people were just upset that the attention was going away from JK and that the attention was going towards a different member, or perhaps this was a different SHIB community that was really upset that any attention was going towards Jimin, if you know what I mean. I've said so many times before on this channel, and I'll continue to say it, but oftentimes the things that the community say that they're upset about is not actually the stuff that they're upset about. So it's very hard to actually figure out what it is that they're actually upset about, because the thing that they tend to be upset about makes very little sense. If people do buy the vinyl and they start ordering it, it really doesn't necessarily change much. An album that was released quite some time ago now re-entering the charts and getting more streams now doesn't really do much. Having more accolades, sure, that's always great, but he wouldn't be able to do that, at least I don't think, like not win any awards, because this isn't a new album. So I don't really fully understand what the issue is and if people are actually upset about the vinyl not being tweeted out. Also, the community often likes to act like they do a better job promoting, or that in general they're better than what the label can do. So at the end of the day, if 10,000 BTS fan clubs, or JK fan clubs specifically, decide to tweet out about this pre-order vinyl thing and do it every single day, they can essentially get more sales from what they do than what the label could do, even if the label did tweet it out. It's honestly not 100% up to a label to promote or do that sort of stuff with an artist. And I know that that's pretty controversial, because a lot of people say, well, if I'm going to a label for them to promote me, then why am I signing? Labels can give you more financial assistance, and they can give you more connections to the industry, such as being able to talk to maybe the best publicists in the industry, or talk to radio or that sort of stuff, and then have money to make an amazing music video. But at the end of the day, it's up to the artist, and it's also up to the fans to make something successful. The artist has to come up with a strategic way to promote their music, and it has to connect with the fans enough that the fans take it and promote it themselves. And that's ultimately what drives the song, not what the label can do. You can also have an artist that the label heavily tries to push, but at the end of the day, they can only do so much if the artist isn't connecting. Which is also why I believe there's no such thing as an industry plant. Like, the industry might try to make someone famous and really push that person, but the industry does that with every new artist they sign. Does that make sense? At the end of the day, the only artists that succeed are ones that connect to the audience. And yeah, sometimes that happens to be what people would consider an industry plant. But everyone technically is an industry plant then, because they'll start out from being a nobody and then sign to a label and then blow up, but they only blow up because they're good. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, just leave a comment right here. Love you, bye.